Welcome to New Orleans, the place where when the lights go down, everybody comes to party. But the party this evening is at the beach under the lights. The AVP takes over the town. It's day number 2 of the second event of the AVP 2022 season, and everybody's getting ready to roll here to see some winners bracket action. For the introduction of the players, let's head down to center court and our announcer, Mark Sherman.
Yes, the lights are on bright. The sun has set. An absolutely gorgeous evening here in New Orleans. Hey, Coconut Beach, how we feeling about these matches today? How we feeling about being back in NOLA? Yes, I love it. Let's do this thing, baby. A full crowd. It is time to get this thing going. And these two guys, the high flyers, both. We need to have a jump off. We need to see who really gets up there a little bit. Who do we think? Troy, are you the higher jumper? Chase, is it you? I don't know. I think they both say it's Troy. This guy is so much fun, not just to watch play volleyball, but if you see him around, he'll smile, he'll take a picture with you, he'll jump around with you, he'll jump over you, whatever you want. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear it for Troy Field. And his partner, an absolutely phenomenal athlete from Encinitas, California, whether it's on the hard court, playing basketball, or on the beach, out of the NBA, and now here on the AVP, it's Chase Budinger. And their opponent, who jumps high out of the two of you? What do you think, Casey? Phil, it's just Phil. It's got to be Phil. Sorry, Casey. Was that an easy one? I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy we've been watching for years and years and years and years. He's in his early 40s. We're not really sure which one I'm talking about yet. He's wearing extremely colorful shorts. I'm pretty sure he's never been to Mardi Gras, but they both promised me if they win this tournament, they will go to Mardi Gras. Ladies and gentlemen, let me hear it out of Brigham Young University, Mr. K.C. Patterson. I'm sorry to commit you to that, Phil, to go into Mardi Gras. You have a choice. If you don't win, you don't have to go. But I think he wants to win, ladies and gentlemen. One of the most winning volleyball players in history, a living legend out of the University of Central Florida, Mr. Philip Dalhausser.
Well, this is one that everybody has been waiting for. Great introductions by Mark Sherman. I'm Dane Blanton alongside Olympic gold medalist in 2008, Rich Lamborn, to break down the action. And how about this, Rich? Some night action here in Louisiana.
Yeah, how unique. I'm looking forward to this matchup incredibly. A new team, obviously, in Phil and Casey, and a team that's really playing great volleyball of late in Casey and Troy. Chase and Troy.
On the left side, Casey Patterson and Phil Dalhausser. Casey Patterson, 42 years of age, playing some fantastic volleyball. He's got 17 AVP titles to his name. Oh, great poke shot right there. Phil Dalhausser could have had a block. Looked like he wasn't ready for that close pass, and Chase taking advantage.
And Chase, as we know, an unbelievable athlete.
And a great roll shot right there by Casey Patterson. As Rich, you were saying, an unbelievable athlete is that of Chase Budinger. After 7 years in the NBA, became a pro beach volleyball player, played both sports as a kid. Back to serve there, Phil Dalhausser, and yet again on a second contact, it's Chase Budinger going over on two. Phil Dalhausser right there at 6'9". One of the most dominant players you will ever see. And Go ahead, Rich. I know you have a ton of information on these two. You've been battling them for years.
Well, yeah, Chase already showing early in this match at 6'7", his speed and quickness, getting some of those tight passes and putting them away on two.
A roll shot over the net. Chase Budinger, a former National Volleyball Player of the Year at La Costa Canyon High School, had all sorts of opportunities, chose to go to University of Arizona and then to the NBA, where he had a very successul career.
We're going to switch sides at 4-3.
That one into the net. 4-3, Dalhausser Patterson with the lead on the first side chain.
Yeah, people know Chase played in the NBA, which is, probably the pinnacle of athletic feats, I think, to get to the league. You have to be the 1% of the 1% of the world's athletes, I would say. But Chase was the #1 volleyball recruit coming out of high school. That's how well-rounded and gifted of an athlete he is.
From the service line with the ace.
There's big Phil Dalhausser, known for just about everything. His great setting hands, his offensive prowess, his jump serve. A couple of weeks ago, winning in Austin, Texas, showing some defensive skills. And here's another jump serve, ripping it down the middle. And there's Troy
This is
Field.
almost becoming a bit of a postscript to Phil, not playing full-time internationally anymore. He's the best hitter maybe the game's ever seen, one of the best setters, best blocker, best server. Got a chance to show off in Austin that he might be one of the best defenders as well.
Yeah, Rich, were you impressed by what you saw in Austin out of Phil Dalhausser? If we'll remind you really quick, it was Phil Dalhausser playing with Andy Benish and getting Benish his first AVP victory, and Phil making it look easy. Were you impressed, Rich?
Yeah, I really was. One of the things that's exciting to see out of Phil is kind of the renewed enthusiasm. Playing with a younger kid and Andy Benish, he just had, the sparkle in his eye a little bit again. And that's dangerous for everybody on the other side of the net from him, but really fun as a volleyball fan to get to witness.
And Troy Field with a big hit cross court. Troy Field, he is the youngest player out on the court here this evening, 28 years of age. Laguna Beach, California, his hometown, 6'4", but he is an athlete. The guy could jump out of the sand, and he's still looking for his first AVP victory. But by the way they played last week, Rich, it looks like that might just be around the corner.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. Troy really been honing his defensive game behind Big Chase Budinger, and they've really been playing some great volleyball, just getting better and better and better. Kind of worked on some of their team dynamics, and they're really firing. Troy playing some unbelievable defense, and as you mentioned, he can really fly, so he's a handful in transition.
I think we're seeing something interesting out of Troy Field and Chase Budinger is that Troy's putting that ball up at the net more often than not. We've seen Chase go over the net on that second contact multiple times, and Phil looks a little bit out of sorts.
Yeah, it's not easy to deal with, especially if you're running all the way up from the end line. We'll give Troy credit for trying to do that. Those might be passes that are overcooked a little bit, but
so maybe Budinger is making him look good, putting those balls away, but nonetheless, Dalhausser Patterson with a slight 1-point lead. 8-7 here in the first set. This is winner's bracket action. It's a double elimination format. Neither of these teams have lost, and everybody's been waiting for this matchup to take place. It's the #1 seed, Dalhausser Patterson, versus #4, Budinger and Troy Field.
yeah, don't forget, Patterson teamed up with Budinger last year to win 2 of the 3 AVP events. So both have been in the winner's circle very recently and on the same side of the net. Now, perhaps a bit of a grudge match here.
Yeah, and then just a couple of weeks ago when we mentioned Phil Dalhausser playing with Andy Benish, getting him his first victory, their opponent in the finals was Budinger and Field. So a lot of kind of crosstalk between these 4 athletes. They know each other well, and there's Troy Field doing what he does, getting up to that penthouse level and crushing the ball.
Yeah, he can create some angles, can he?
Did I hear the signature, what are you doing? The drop on Casey Patterson, always making them pay.
Yeah, that's always a tough play, though, right? Because Chase made actually quite a good dig on that play, but Troy also made the read towards the direction of the hit. It's hard in real time to trust that your partner is going to dig it and hold Pat in your cross-court position, right? Not go towards the ball.
10-10.
Phil Dalhausser back to serve, trying to break the tie. And a little dribbler. Patterson has an opportunity, crushes it down the line. And Dalhausser, Patterson take the lead 11-10 as we enter the technical time out right here. We talked about 2 weeks ago in Austin, the final when Phil was with Andy Benish going up against Budinger and Field. Let's take a look at the highlights.
The number 4 seed versus the number 2. Men's final starts now. We start on Phil Dalhausser.
Let's get it. Come on, let's get it.
And Phil already with the dig. Boy, Field playing down defense for the first time. High pocket. Phil Dalhausser coming to play. These teams are high flying. Oh my! Wow! Another big swing from Troy Field. Again, Benish with a second chance. Pace has got the ball. And a second ball for Andy Benish. Tight.
Wow, what a final and what a memorable experience for Andy Benish. You know what, Rich? That was so cool watching how excited Andy Benish was and the big smile, like you said. Phil Dalhausser with a little bit of rejuvenation, really breaking out a big smile as well.
Yeah, getting victory number 60, I believe it was, which is unbelievable. I mean, you have to think that that might not be touched by anyone following him.
Yeah, pretty impressive if you go around the horn. Phil Dalhausser, 60 victories. Casey Patterson with 17. Chase Budinger with 3. And Troy Field, his best finish, a second, as you saw in Austin a couple of weeks ago, and still in search of that first AVP victory. So a ton of experience here. That's why you're looking at the number 1 versus the number 4 seed here in New Orleans.
Troy going high and hard there. off the top of Phil Dalhausser, no easy task. You got to be able to elevate to do that.
Troy Field, the young gun, going up and just crushing it. 28 years of age, has a huge vertical leap. I've heard he's got a 45-inch jump. Is that accurate, Rich?
I would say so. I don't know if that was measured on the hard court or on the sand, but in any event, he can get off whatever surface the floor is.
We see an ace serve right there. Dalhausser, Patterson, interesting topic that we want to get into. Both 42 years of age, but playing great volleyball. Talk about the longevity, Rich, of playing beach volleyball as opposed to being on that hard court.
Well, certainly the surface is conducive to being a little bit easier on your body. You know, the flip side of that coin, however, is there's nowhere to hide. You know, for example, indoor, I played libero, so I didn't have to swing at a lot of balls. My shoulder didn't take the wear and tear. On the beach, the softer surface, not as hard on your joints, but you're always swinging, you're always diving, you're always jumping. You know what I mean? So there is kind of the cumulative effect of all those repetitions on your body, but you do see a little bit more longevity on the beach due to the softer surface.
Had some spectacular spikes already here in this match. This is the White Claw pure spike of the day. Look at that, a little bit of a roundhouse hit from Troy Field. You don't see that very often. Really creative volleyball by Troy Field, and they're more conventional swing, but he's showing that he can not only play D, he can transition and just explode out of the sand. That's Troy Field for the White Claw pure spike of the day.
Much like White Claw, why have one when you can have two? Right, Dan?
Exactly. And Troy Field feeling it. You know, what do you think the difference is, or what does Troy need to do to get to that next step in his career? Because the athleticism's there. Is it just come down to mental focus?
That's an interesting question, and I almost want to pose that question back to you as a coach. You know, maybe this is less of an issue in the collegiate game, but Troy's a guy who is incredibly nice, incredibly friendly, likes to converse with people, interact with the fans. But in my opinion, for my liking, I feel like he engages in a little bit too much of that during matches, and I wonder if sometimes that distracts him. You know what I mean? Like, there's obviously no right answer. You know, some people interact a lot. You see Casey Patterson doing it, but I would argue even at times it's been detrimental to his performance at times. So I wonder if maybe that's something that Troy can figure out a little bit, and that might help ratchet up his game, even just a small percentage.
Well, there he goes with a big hit off the block, but he flies into the net, so a net violation. 15-12, Budinger and Field. And I'll tell you what, I would agree with you, Rich. It's the same thing. It's trying to figure out the balance between the celebration, the fan interaction, and the focus out on the court. And you got to be playing with a player that can handle you if you do interact a lot with the crowd. But I like the entertainment. I think we need more personalities, and I like what Troy Field's doing. But I do believe and agree with you, it comes down to really balancing.
Yeah, certainly that's the main key, right, is finding that balance. You know, because sometimes you get caught up in the entertainment of it all. You start trying to make the flashy play rather than the prudent play, things like that. And so, you know, I mean, that comes with experience, certainly. And Troy has, obviously, all the talent in the world and ability to win and so forth. So finding that balance, he's still very young, of course. And, I mean, realistically hasn't been playing the game for all that long. So I think he'll figure it out, and pretty soon here, if not this weekend.
Yep, knocking on the door. Budinger and Field playing extremely well here in set number one, up 16-14. looking to make it a 3-point lead here with a side out. And no, Phil says.
Must be nice to just, tap jump and hit the 2-foot line cross court like Phil did there.
The luxury of being 6'9", little slap down angle. Not a lot you can do as a blocker when a guy like Phil has that type of range. Here comes Field with a cut shot, and it hangs on top of the net, rolls out of bounds. That's a big point right there as Dalhausser and Patterson tie it up.
Yeah, I like that play, though. The short serve, Budinger and Field really pushing that width to try and give themselves an advantage over Big Phil. Just unable to execute the shot is all.
Another beautiful set, and Troy Field knows exactly how to put that one away. Perfect hit for 17.
Along the lines of, we were talking a little bit about Troy's temperament on the court and his interaction with the fans and so forth. Kudos to Chase Budinger for kind of tightening up some of their team dynamics too. He's a guy who, historically has been a little bit hard on his partners, but they've really figured out a good vibe between the two of them, and I think that that's been key to the performances we've seen out of them throughout this season.
Set number 1.
Yeah, you touch on something that is so important, is that chemistry with your partner, really being able to play with them, deal with them, and that you're on the same page, because if you're not, it can be a disaster.
It really can be, and with just two of you out there, a lot of people liken it to a marriage and all that, and I think there's some merit to that comparison, but if you start burying your guy, or if there's not a good dynamic between the two of you, there's nowhere to go. There's no one else to look to, so things can really submarine in a hurry. So it's such a vital part of success in this sport, that team dynamic. Another big elevation from Troy here. We'll see him get up, go into that corner with some heat.
Nice little roll shot there by Casey Patterson as we are all locked up at 19. This one, as expected, we knew this would go back and forth, and this is usually where Phil Dalhausser shines. He usually gets that timely block or that really great play to give himself an edge. Let's see if he can do it here. Wow, it's just an alley, and he finds it somehow.
It is set point for Budinger.
Yeah, and that is not his preferred swing. He's more of a cross his body kind of a guy, Troy Field, and he just had a sliver of line there, but he took advantage of it. Great swing.
Not done yet. That's out of bounds.
That ball just got out of bounds, but I think what Rich, what you said, he's not accustomed to banging that line. If he could get that line shot down with his range in the angle and his cut shot, he'd be unstoppable on that right side. Who he reminds me of is like a young Kent Steffes, but not quite as consistent. He hasn't perfected those really, I guess, detailed shots. He's more about the power and the flair.
Yeah, Kent Steffes obviously one of the greats of all time, and nobody more consistent, winning over 100 tournaments. He and Karchi.
I guess I can't say a young Kent Steffes because Kent retired at 30 years of age with 112 wins, and Troy is already 28.
Yeah.
Right on the back line. Blackjack's on the board. We're not done yet.
21 all will take a switch here. Dalhausser and Patterson trying to find their groove. They have been on opposite sides of the court for so many years. It's a fascinating matchup. When you heard about this, Rich, did you say this thing's going to work or this could be dangerous?
Well, you know, we talked a little bit about the re-energized Phil Dalhausser from Austin. I mean, you want to talk about re-energized, let's just take a look at Casey Patterson for 2 seconds in this match. I mean, he's whooping it up with the crowd. I don't think his mouth has stopped moving this entire match. And that's oftentimes when he's at his best.
Yeah, that's what I would always tell Casey doing any type of commentating. It was so much more fun, and he seemed more engaged when, you know, he broke out some of his dance moves and he was interacting. I just thought he played at a higher level rather than just the stoic, serious Casey.
Yeah, like we mentioned with Troy, there's obviously a balance to that formula. But, I mean, Casey's loose. This is a new partnership and maybe a temporary one at that. So they've got nothing to lose. They're sort of footloose and fancy free, and that makes for a very dangerous Dalhausser-Patterson combo, I think.
There it is, Phil Dalhausser with that timely block, taking the lead, 23-22.
You called it. You called it, and Casey started the lawnmower there in celebration.
Oh my gosh, our couples are getting so nervous back here. We have room for 1 or 2 more couples if anybody dares.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time before Phil cracks the code, right? If he goes a whole set without a block, you can expect something late.
And Rich, I want to ask you, how much pressure is it playing with Phil Dalhausser? Because if you play with Phil, and we saw it 2 weeks ago, you're almost in a position where you have to win. As we look at the most wins by an individual here, you can answer that after this. But Karch Karai, 148, Sinjin, 139, Stokey at 122. And there's Kent Steffes, who we mentioned earlier, at 110. Phil Dalhausser at 101. And the difference, I'll tell you, when Phil played, you know, maybe there was 10 to 15 events that he was playing in a year, whereas back in the day there used to be 25 events on the tour, so there was a lot more opportunity to win. But back to the question, Rich, which was how much pressure is it to play with a great, an all-time great like Phil, to win the whole thing?
Yeah, I think there's probably a tremendous amount of pressure, because you kind of have that feeling like if anything goes wrong, everyone's looking at you, right? But nothing going wrong there. Casey with the overhand big, the fall away set, and the put away to close out set 1. Yeah, it's, you know, I don't think Casey looks at this situation like there's any pressure on him. He's going to go out here, enjoy, get some spray in his hair.
Wow, the wannabes are in full effect right there, taking care of the hairdo of Casey. But he was emulating his partner Phil as he did that falling backwards set. Phil showing that he can do it all. And how many times have you seen that? Phil, that exuberant, that excited about the situation, and Casey Patterson just the same. 24-22. Phil Dalhausser and Patterson somehow figure it out and crack the code in the end. The big question, can they come back and do it in set number 2, which is coming right up?
We don't.
Get ready for a whole new wave of White Claw. New full flavor White Claw Surf. Sensational refreshment for a taste like no other.
We all know it's a good idea to recycle. But what happens to that aluminum can or all that paper after you put it in the recycling bin? Where does it go? What does it become in its second life? See how WM is always working for a sustainable tomorrow at WM.com/stories.
It's the choices we make that define us.
Tryon Trevor is coming off a tough, heartbreaking loss.
And ultimately, the enemy is within. Some people want it. Some wish for it. But others make it happen.
Tryon Trevor, super lethal, bringing fire and passion to the court.
How will you take charge?
Welcome back to the AVP Pro Series New Orleans Open. We're at the Coconut Beach Volleyball Complex here in Kenner, Louisiana, and having a great time under the lights. It's not often that you get beach volleyball under the lights, but a lot of fan interaction, fan participation going on down on the sand, and not sure that game that's going on, but Phil Dalhausser and Casey Patterson really turned up their game at the end of that first set, and it's gonna take a turnaround from Troy and Case, who played pretty well, I'd say, Rich, all the way until the end. Seems like Phil can always pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, Troy and Case played fantastic. You just run into Phil being so late in that set. You know, you'd need to get a couple points out in front if you can, just to try and offset some of the things that Phil seems to inevitably do in every match he's involved in.
What Phil's been so good at throughout his career is blocking things up, not taking his foot off the pedal, looking at the hitting percentage, 542 to 429. Pretty close, but the defensive end, Budinger in the field, dominating there, huh?
Yeah, that kind of offset the discrepancy in hitting percentage. Troy really doing a nice job defensively, I thought, in that first set, and look for him to continue that. It'll be critical for him to put those scoring opportunities away for points, however.
Another big hit by Troy Field. I think he is going to be tested. Dalhausser and Patterson know the game so well, and when you have a little bit of inexperience, they're going to try to test you out, see what you can handle. So expect for Troy to continue to have to side out at a very high level.
Just sneaking that one through, Casey Patterson, who, make no mistake, is 6'6", and he looks like a tiny little guy out there next to Big Phil.
Phil Dalhausser, we mentioned 60 AVP wins, 101 total wins worldwide, and looking for 102 this weekend here in New Orleans. Rejuvenated with a new partnership and playing really on top of his game. It's going to be very interesting. I mean, we thought Phil retired, right, Rich? We thought he was gone at the end of last season, and decided he's still got life in him.
Yeah, just kind of hopped in with Andy Benish a couple weeks ago in Austin because Nick, Andy's normal partner, got an injury and had to be also at the NCAA championships along with you, Dane, and just went ahead and won that tournament. So I figured, why not keep going?
Comes Phil out of the middle of the court and just long. He really is perfected. He loves to swing out of the middle of the court, middle to middle serve. I think it's maybe the fastest point A to B to get that ball down, and he tries for it each and every time.
One point to the switch. It's 4-2.
Has there been a bigger discrepancy in hairstyles in a partnership in the history of our sport than between Phil and Casey?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, did Stafford ever play with a guy who shaved his head?
It's a good question. It's a very good question. that might be the only one in the running.
Yeah, it's definitely become a signature. What's the proper name of Casey Patterson's cut?
We go with the Suave Hawk, I think, but I mean, that thing is getting long in the back. That might be the Suave Tail at this point.
The winner of this match advances to the semifinals of the tournament. Loser goes over to the contenders bracket where they can fight their way back, but it is not easy. A lot of teams have been knocked over in the contenders bracket, but that's the nature of double elimination. Where's a shank pass by Patterson? Beautiful set by Phil, and what do you know? They get a kill out of that. So from about 35 feet off the net, Phil Dalhausser puts that ball within 10 feet, and Patterson able to take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, just an unbelievable set from Phil, but also one of the things that Casey does better than almost anyone on the planet is take huge cuts off of out-of-system sets, you know, in difficult situations. He's got such a pure arm swing, and he's unafraid, and he really just took a big rap at that ball, got the kill.
6-4 here in the second set. Dalhausser Patterson leading. Won a close one in the first set, 24-22. Dane Bland alongside Rich Lamborn calling the action here tonight at the Coconut Beach Volleyball Complex in Kenner, Louisiana, about 20 minutes from downtown New Orleans. And the people have come out tonight to celebrate the AVP being back in town after a 6-year hiatus.
Mistake there, and the wheels coming off a little bit for Budinger and Field. They need to right the ship quickly, or this could get out of hand.
You're absolutely right. That's kind of the thing with the team like Dalhausser and Patterson. With that much experience, they're not going to give up many points. So if you start giving up points as Chase Budinger is right now with 2 hitting errors, it could cost you, and they're going to capitalize on the opportunity, which they're doing.
Yeah, and a good bit of strategy from Dalhausser and Patterson. You know, Chase is a guy who his kind of preferred swing is across his body, forcing him to go into that angle and getting a couple mistakes from him. And let's see if Field and Budinger can sort of keep their heads up here, not let the deficit get to them and sort of affect their vibe on the court.
Here comes Patterson from the right side. A roll shot. Troy Field is there. Can he convert? Looks for the touch. Did he get it? He must have got the touch. Wow, how about that, Rich?
I mean, that's a fascinating play. Just incredible wherewithal from Troy to even attempt that and then to pull it off too and get a second chance for his team is really.
Well, I haven't seen that in real time. I didn't think Phil had got a piece of it, but obviously he did.
Yeah, that's I'm pretty sure I've never seen that before.
They continue to go to Chase Budinger. He'll have a second opportunity here against Phil, and Phil says no. Sends it right back at Chase, and Phil starting to find his groove at the net.
Yeah, let's see if we get another look at that one, because that is just a clinic in beach block timing. He was up early on the first one to swat it back and then just really waits. There's the first one, waits, delays here. Sees the softer shot coming and goes up and throws it back.
Nice dig by Patterson. Patterson with an opportunity, and he gets it right there. Touch off the block and out of bounds, and complete domination here in the second set. Starting to pull away with 7-point lead for Dalhausser and Patterson.
Wilson is the official game ball of the AVP. Wilson empowering athletes at every level.
As we take a break here, we talked to Phil about playing with the other 42-year-old, and that's Casey Patterson.
Your way. Be sure to follow Wilson Volleyball on Instagram and on Twitter, and stop by the official Wilson tent during it.
Casey's Mr. Fun, so he's got a lot of energy on the court, and I think that will kind of rub off on me and maybe give me a little energy out there too. Usually I'm kind of boring out there.
Phil Dalhausser enjoying his time with Casey Patterson. We mentioned they're both 42 years of age. And Rich, you and I talked about it earlier, for how forgiving the sand is. And, you know, Chase Budinger talks about it, played in the NBA 7 years. He said he had 2 knee surgeries, suffered a sports hernia, several ankle sprains, but now he feels better than ever playing on the AVP Pro Beach Tour. So it's one of those sports you can just last a long time, and John Hyden is proving it. I don't know how old John is now, 49 maybe?
Correct. And, you know, I mean, certainly the surface is forgiving, but it shouldn't be overlooked how hard all these guys work to keep their bodies healthy on top of that. You know, Chase, Troy, Phil for the longest time, Casey, of course, doing tons of work in the gym, on the trainer's table to keep themselves in tip-top condition as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's nothing like staying in game shape, and as you get older, those morning afters take a little longer to recover from. And so everybody, you know, it's so many people, and they say, hey, you should come back and play. You can play for one day, but to play for multiple days, that's a whole different ball game once you get over 40.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Yeah, so these guys who are out here still competing at the highest level over the age of 40, it really is an impressive feat and a testament to how hard they work to keep their bodies fit.
There's Casey Patterson with thunderous hit cross court, doubling the score now, 14-7 over Budinger and Field, who have not had the answers here in the second set. And Dalhausser and Patterson have turned up the volume from set number 1, and they're looking really sharp right now.
Yeah, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing there's no points deducted for outfits, because those shorts are terrible.
Taking a look at a road to the title on the men's side. You see 1 versus 4 as you're watching right now. Dalhausser, Patterson, Budinger, Field, and at the bottom, Taylor Crabb and Taylor Stander, the most talked about team in the offseason, going up against Lottman and Partain. And Rich, you know Taylor Crabb and Stander quite well. As you coach them, the athleticism is off the chart.
Yeah, we'll get to my guys in just a second. Let's take a look at those shorts. The guys from Slunk's outfitting a lot of the athletes out here and making a great product. I'm not sure that's the best they've done, though.
So you're saying you wouldn't be caught in those, huh?
Listen, I need to work on my legs a little more before I go with the 5-inch inseam or whatever those things are. Showing off a little more leg than I'm comfortable with myself.
No, Chase Budinger with a nice thumb down away from body angle, making it look easy right there.
Yeah, and a great set from Troy Field to shovel that up to the net. Going back to my guys momentarily, yeah, they are certainly packed with athleticism. But as we are seeing out here and as we know very well, consistency is the name of the game. Everybody's talented, everybody's skilled, everybody's athletic, but who can execute at the highest level over the longest period of time? And that's always going to be the challenge.
Yeah, speaking of that challenge, I know here at USC, where I coach, we do a lot of sports psychology. And how much of that are the pros doing in terms of getting their mind right for competition and trying to get that edge?
Yeah, I think it varies. There are some people that rely pretty heavily on sports psychologists and others not so much. It was just starting to become a thing when I was a player. We had a sports psychologist that worked with us on the indoor team that I thought was, he taught us a lot of concepts that I still use in coaching my guys to this very day. So that stuff can be very beneficial in just giving you some perspective. It varies person to person.
(16-10), Dalhausser Patterson, and that's what Phil has done all his career. He strikes, he does some damage, he gets 3, 4, 5 point lead, and then he kind of puts it in that cruise control. He knows how to win, knows how to pace himself during a match.
Winding and whipping. Chase Budinger, 11-16, 1 to the switch. Troy Field at the line.
Yeah, Phil, in my opinion, and I'm sure there are plenty of arguments from plenty of people out there, but he's the greatest ever played this sport.
Wow, just like that, huh? I'm sure I love that conversation too, right? So if you say he is the greatest, why do you say that, and who else is in the mix?
Well, I mean, there are tons and tons of greats in our sport. You have your Stokies, you have your St. John, Javi Dodd, Karch, and Kent, of course, Blanton, Fenoy Moana, obviously in the conversation. But I just, as an individual player, I don't know that anybody's been a better blocker than him, a better server than him, a better setter than him, a better offensive player than him. You know what I mean? To have all of those elite skills in one person, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rich, in terms of when you break down the setting, the passing, the blocking, the offense, the serving. But then everyone always throws into the argument, what about the mental toughness to win? And that's where some people go a different direction with it.
Well, but I mean, that seems to indicate that somebody's slighting Phil's mental ability or something, which I would challenge unequivocally. We talked about him having over 100 victories in an era where there weren't 25 tournaments a year. So where exactly are we coming up with mental toughness being a shortcoming of Phil's?
Yeah, I guess it's not mental toughness, because Phil is as mentally strong as anybody out there. as he'll have an opportunity right here to crush yet another ball as he does. But I guess it's, even you and I said Phil's rejuvenated. I think at times Phil has had some lulls where he, you know, sometimes maybe wasn't as fired up to crush people. And I think that's just people talking. Who knows what Phil really feels, right? And I put him up there with the best, if not the best, all time as well.
Yeah, I would assign a different label to that. You know, that's almost like boredom. I wouldn't think that that's mental fortitude on any level. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I agree.
And that's a testament to how great he is, that winning was so easy that it became bored. You know what I mean?
For Phil and Casey.
So you can talk about, you know, like your Michael Jordans or your Tiger Woods who have this innate desire to step on any and everyone's throat at all times. Like that's one level, and maybe Phil didn't have that murderous killer instinct to that level, but to suggest that he wasn't mentally strong is not only completely false, but a disservice to how great he is.
Yeah, I think you put it right, Rich. It's not mentally strong for sure, because we know Phil is that. I guess it's those times when maybe he got sometimes disinterested, and his interest level is through the roof right now as we're watching him run through this and try to get his team to the semifinals. And there it is, down the line, complete domination by the 42-year-old Dalhausser and Patterson. Quite an exhibition, right?
The greatest of all time, and in the running for the greatest hair of all time, one of the greats in our sport, certainly a great entertainer, Casey Patterson. Congratulations to them, and really, I mean, a great match from Chase and Troy as well. They just ran into a little bit of a lull and a bit of a bust on that second set in the form of Phil and Casey.
Well, I think you named it exactly right, Rich. If Phil and Casey are engaged, as you saw at the end of that first set, you knew it was going to be trouble. They were laughing, they were enjoying themselves and playing on a level that we have not seen. So if they can continue this type of fire, then the rest of the field might be in trouble.
Agreed.
And Phil and Casey are into the semifinals somewhere in the 3 o'clock hour.
There's a good look at the two 42-year-olds looking like they're 21 with their volleyball as they advance to become the first team in the semifinals. Dalhausser and Patterson, they'll sit back and relax as the opposition fights to get in that position to compete again.